Well, hello, welcome back.
Hey.
We're now going to be having a bit of a discussion about a bit of a continuity thing that's come up in Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Also popped up in Star Trek Section 31, but we'll ignore Star Trek Section 31 because it doesn't exist. It's been wiped out of canon.
It's up there with Highlander 2. They're hanging out.
Yeah. But basically, in both those things, there's been a couple of background characters that have looked like the Cherons, which are the characters where you had one where it was black and white. They had black and white face. One was white on the right hand side, and the other one was black on the right hand side, sort of thing. So it really got confusing. And before we started recording this, Marcus and I were trying to do the thing with baseball caps, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
We were just getting too confused. But what's actually happened is there's a section of fans talking about continuity in Star Trek that claim that the Cherons, that it said in the episode, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, that the Cherons wiped themselves out, that there was no more Cherons. So therefore, they shouldn't be appearing in Star Trek Section 31 or Starfleet Academy. To do my due diligence, Mark, because I do stuff like this, is I actually watched Let That Be Your Last Battlefield about an hour and a half ago. And in the episode, it does not explicitly state that the Cherons wiped each other out, that there was no more Cherons. It didn't say anything like that. It's perhaps implied because there's no more life on their home planet. Their home planet's pretty much been wiped out, and there's a lot of death and stuff like that on there. But it's not actually said.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think it's I'm calling BS on people that are arguing continuity on that.
Ooh.
Because I watched the episode. It's not mentioned. It's only really implied.
Yeah, I have not rewatched it, but yeah, I think we're talking about what well far in the future, and these aliens were space. They had spaceships, right? If they had traveled anywhere else, the chances of there being survivors is pretty high. Even if they didn't, it's a pretty good chance there could be a survivor on the planet. It's pretty hard to wipe out an entire species if there's billions of you at once. So you can even like hit with a disease, and it would be there's very few diseases out there that can wipe out 100% of the population.
And even if there was a war between two factions and it was a racial war, there would be an element of the society of that planet that weren't at war with each other about race, because not everybody naturally leans towards hating each other. On the planets, I mean,
no, there's nobody literally is. I'm this side, so I hate every single one of you. It's like that is not how people operate. Intelligent living beings. There are always people who are moderates or liberals or whatever you want to say, who are going to be like, no, we all can get along, and I'm married a left. I don't know what they call each other. I married a whatever other side, and it's shame to your family and stuff.
I mean, the episode itself, That Be Your Last Battlefield, is really, really, I've not watched it until tonight. This is the first time I've watched it in maybe about 20 years.
It's a classic.
And it's not an episode that I've watched over and over and over again, because it's not really one of my favourite episodes, but it is a bloody good acted episode. And there's also there's things in it that, I actually forgot about. I actually forgot about how powerful these Cherons really were, because there's a scene in it where Beale, the Commissioner Beale, he was hunting down the other guy called Loki, because they basically have different colours on different sides of the face, sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a scene in it where he uses his actual will to change the Enterprise's course. So I think, if if you've got a race of beings that can do that, it's highly unlikely they're going to wipe each other out completely.
Yeah, it's. I think it's way more likely there's going to be some survivors out there than not.
Mm.
Because look right now, like we don't know the whole history of this planet and stuff, but is there anything like humans and in Star Trek? There's tons of colonies, planets everywhere. Hey, how difficult would it be to be like, I'm going to wipe out all the humans in this time period? That would be extremely difficult to do. uh,
Yeah,
but wiping out all life on one planet, maybe, but that's also not really easy to do. So, as easy as it
Also,
seems.
also Beale's ship, when the Enterprise encounters Beale's ship is actually it's cloaked.
Yeah. Just pretty high tech for
And
back then.
yeah, and it's actually cloaked to an extent where it's actually harder to track than the Romulan ship. Because the implication is that they're trying to track it and they don't know where it is, and he basically crashes the ship and sort of beams himself onto the bridge of the Enterprise. And so that's pretty advanced technology, even for back then. So my theory is that yeah, the Cherons were at war with each other, it's a big race war, but there were liberals and there were scientists, and they probably built a colony ship and cloaked it and sort of like set it on course somewhere, and it was later found by a Federation ship, and that's how they came back, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was different colonies of them because they weren't even in explored space in the original series.
Yeah.
They were in a part of space that wasn't explored by Kirk or the Enterprise.
I feel like instead of reacting instantly, you messed up the canon, blah, 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 I would be like, oh, wow, there still exists. I wonder what the story is behind that. Because even if you don't like Kurtzman or his viewpoint on the setting, I think, sorry, I'm just adjusting real quick. I think I could tell from Lower Decks, for example, you may not like the humor of Lower Decks or something if you ever watched it, but they know canon. Like they pull stuff. So they probably know. They probably know they watched it, I'm sure, before they put that character in. And so I think instantly assuming they got it wrong, I think it's the wrong. I don't think you should that.
Yeah, but I think at the same time to defend people that are screaming canon breach and stuff like that a little bit, the people that made Lower Decks, Kurtzman wasn't really involved with them. All he did on that was commission that show.
Mm.
So he wasn't a producer on that show. It was somebody else's project entirely. And that person, whoever it was, because I don't know who it was, that person actually did love Trek. And that's based on everything I've heard from you. It's based on things I've heard from other people that watch Lower Decks. I've tried to get into it, but after the first couple of episodes, I just couldn't latch onto it. So,
And I
but,
understand it's a full-fledged comedy. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Mhm.
But yeah, and I think I don't know who in Starfleet Academy worked on. I know Tawny, I think it's her name. Again, terrible
Andy
names.
Newsom.
Yeah, I think she's involved with Starfleet Academy on some level. She acted as one of the characters in that one episode, and she's co-written a couple episodes. So I really
Mhm.
think there's. I don't think you should just automatically assume that they messed up the canon. I think you should think, could they have survived? Because there's so many possibilities that there could be one still alive. My question is, did only one side survive or the other one? How'd they survive? Is it
Mhm.
clones? There's a whole story you could do out of that. And
Yeah, there's quite a few stories you could do out of that, and and if they decided to stay in the 32nd century, that's something they could do, or maybe they appeared again sometime in the 24th century. They could tell the story about how come the Cherons suddenly appeared again after about 75 years, or however long it's been. It's been 60 years. So
if Khan can survive somehow, then I think a whole species, at least some members of the species, could survive, right? So I think there's plenty of openings for that to work. Just you could argue some stuff about Klingons, what happened in Discovery at least, but I don't think there's a problem with that character being, or that species popping up. So it creates an opportunity too. One of the bad things about, or not, I shouldn't say bad things, but one of the things that happens a lot in Star Trek is they introduce a species and you never see them again. They introduce species, you never see them again. And it's nice to bring back some species occasionally, and it makes the world feel a little more real. Oh yeah, those guys, they've encountered that before. So
I mean, that's what was good about Enterprise. I mean, we'd seen an Andorian in Star Trek original series, but we never saw Andorians in the movies or subsequent series after that until Enterprise came along and they reintroduced them. So
yeah, for some reason Roddenberry did TNG didn't want to use a lot of the original species. I'm not sure I understand that logic, but although back then it would have been harder to make those antennas work. I mean, they look goofy in the original too, but it was the original. But they pulled it off pretty good, Enterprise.
It did. But back to the Cheron. I think you're right. I mean, it is an opportunity for them to explore. What happened with them. What happened with Beale and Loki after they beamed down. Because in the cut of the episode I seen on Paramount Plus, as soon as they beamed down, and as soon as Kirk and the others know that they beamed down, the episode ends. And I'm pretty sure that when I was a kid, I saw a version of the episode where Beale and Loki were on the planet and were fighting each other. And then in the aftermath, Kirk and Spock beamed down to the planet and with McCoy and found that they'd killed each other. And that was the end of the episode. But I think I must be experiencing the Mandela effect or something.
Yeah. I remember Barney killing him.
Because I could have sworn I saw that in the original episode when I first saw the episode when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah,
back in 1976 or 77.
Yeah, your imagination might have taken, maybe not. I don't know. There are slight edit changes that happen in these episodes as they go through DVD and Blu-ray and streaming and stuff. But I remember what happened at the end. I think to me it was more implied. I don't think they showed it on screen, them killing each other, but I can't remember.
Well, it was definitely implied. I mean, there was nothing said about them having wiped each other out entirely. A big deal was made about Beale had been hunting Loki across space for 50,000 years, which basically just tells me that he's really bad at his job.
I'm sorry. So we got a species that could live thousands, tens of thousands of years that have psychic abilities, more advanced tech, but we can't believe that some of them survived in a war.
I know. I know, and I, if I hadn't watched that episode, tonight, I wouldn't have been able to pull all this information forward to actually have this discussion. So, but I don't think there's a continuity problem there at all. And I think the people that are screaming about continuity are just making an awful big deal about nothing. And I know we're going to get a lot of hate in the comments about this. So
direct all your hate, Ian, please. Thank you.
Yeah, blame Marx because it was his idea for me to do this channel.
Not this theme, not this topic. Yeah, we also got, I don't think we'll get into it right now, but there was a lot of canon talk about Jem'Hadar Klingons getting together because of a character in the show and other stuff. And I just feel like that's a lack of, I mean, it's obviously a strong bias against it. Probably Kurtzman and New Trek more than anything else, looking for flaws. But we just got to use our imagination a little bit. We can figure it out. So I think
the thing is with the Jem'Hadar thing, though, it's actually implicitly said in Deep Space Nine that they only bred male Jem'Hadar. They didn't breed any female Jem'Hadar and stuff like that. But that said, it doesn't mean to say that after the war they might have changed that and bred a few female Jem'Hadar to
I'm sure it's just making a species free if you're going to be like You're all male. Good luck. Go extinct now.
I mean,
No.
and also people, the Starfleet Academy is set in the 32nd century. Deep Space Nine was set towards the end of the 24th century.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
a lot of shit could have happened and gone down in that time.
yeah, I know. So I don't think it's automatically a mistake to do something like that. She's a cool character, so I'm cool with it. You know, it's Star Trek. It's sci-fi fantasy stuff. It's Data died, came back. How'd that happen? There's Picard died, came back.
Yeah, Data died 3 times and came back. I mean, died the
Exactly.
first time in Nemesis, and then they brought him back in Picard, and he died at the end of that, and then they brought him back again in Picard season 3.
Yeah. So imagine if you missed one of those resurrections, you see him die, then you skip a few movies or TV shows, and then you see him back, and you'd be like, "Ah, continuity error. There's no way he could be back." Maybe you just didn't see the whole storyline, right? Some stuff happened between.
Or maybe it's so long since you've seen the storyline that you've just forgotten about the details that weren't there.
That could be, yeah.
Or you've forgotten that something was perhaps implied but not actually said.
Yeah.
Because if something's implied, it doesn't mean it's actually so.
It's
But it
become,
doesn't mean it actually isn't so either. So
there's head canon that comes in sometimes. People, especially with an older show, you get this head canon of what you think it is, and you get defensive whenever it changes sometimes. But that's what you want, room for growth and change and experimentation. Is it really worth, if you ever do a cool storyline with that species, wouldn't it be worth bringing it back and doing something with that species, and rather than just having one episode and they write them off,
yeah, I mean, having seen that episode again, I'm curious to know how the Cheron will actually works. Is it telekinesis or is it something else?
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know about the species. A lot of stuff would be really cool to explore if they want to. So I'm cool bringing it back. I don't care, and I think it's great because it brings attention to a classic episode that maybe a newer generation might go check out because of that species. That's a really important message. But we'll see what they do.
So let us know what you guys think in the comments, and we will try to answer them. But if there's any sort of like really crappy ones, prepare to be booted.
If you're just gonna be a jerk, don't expect a reply.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, I think we're done.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks everyone for watching.